who determines the value of the crayon? I believe the person that has the crayon in his hand determines the value of the crayon. Because if you can determine whether the crayon is going to be useless and throw it out, or you could determine, oh no, this crayon can be restored and you can keep it and remodel it. And you can, remold it. And then guess what? It can become a brand new crayon. And then sometimes it even looks like nobody would even know once it's even, put in that hot wax, that once you've molded again and it becomes like that brand new crayon, nobody really would know where it came from. And I find that's exactly how we are in the hands of God, because no matter what we have gone through in life, if we would let God do what He wants to do with our lives, guess what? Those situations don't matter. Hi everyone, how you doing today? I'm so excited to be with you once more. Today I'm bringing you episode 111. Yes, you heard me right, of the Unleash Our Pride podcast. I'm so excited, and really what I want to share with you today, I'm just like, yes. And you might wonder why she's so excited. So about 5 years ago, I'm sure a lot of us, like a lot of people are familiar with one of my stories, particularly that I really do share about how I almost took my life. This year makes it 5 years in October that this incident happened. And I remember God said to me at the time, when after I had healed and God had done a lot of things in my life of helping me, come back and everything. One of the things that He said to me was, I want you to write a book about this. And so in October, it's going to be my birthday and I'm going to be launching this book. I'm so excited. So today I want to share from one of the chapters in the book, and it's called Broken Crayons Still Color. Someone might say, really? What does that mean? Just stay tuned. You might want to share this link with a friend. I don't want you to watch it alone. And if you're watching it, make sure you share with somebody that will share with somebody that will share with somebody. If you know someone that has gone through one life challenge or the other, if you know someone that is going through right now, if you know someone, any woman, this would encourage them. I want to encourage you to please share the link. It could be the YouTube link. It could be the podcast, the audio podcast link. Just share this with somebody so that it would bless them as well. And if you're watching on my YouTube channel and you have not subscribed, please do subscribe. Thank you. And when I say subscribe, why am I saying that? It's because that is one of the ways that I get encouraged to know that this is actually blessing people, or else I just say like, maybe it's not really blessing anybody. But also, the more you subscribe, the more other people see it and the more they share with others as well. And it makes me feel like I'm actually giving you value, which I know you're getting from it. Okay, let's come back to our topic today. So Broken Crayons Still Color, way back, way back, I would say this is about 15, 16, 17 years ago. I used to own a daycare in the UK. And I loved it. At the time, I really, really did love it. My children were little and it was perfect for that season of my life. I just loved it. But one of the things that I used to do, or one of the things that the body, because I had to be registered, one of the things that the body we were registered with used to do was send us on a lot of courses. So you would find I did a lot of short courses at the time, because number one, you had to be on top of things if you were taking care of children. Number two, they had to teach you all the little, because with children, there's so many little things that you need to know. So because I wasn't going on the long course whereby you could go for 4 years, we just had like snippets of maybe 4 hours at a time. We had all those short courses, which I used to go to. And I remember on one of the courses that I went to, there was this interesting scenario they painted out for us. They brought broken crayons out. And the lady, I remember her asking, would this crayon still work? And, there were various answers. Some said yes, some said no, some said maybe. And then she was asking us, because all of us were childcare practitioners. So we work with children and children work with crayons. And so she was trying to get an understanding on if we thought if they're broken, would they still be useful? And the conclusion of which she shared with us was, yes, they are useful. You might say, really, are they? And what she really did was, I remember her sharing that day, that actually stuck with me, is that even though crayons are broken, they can still be used, they can still be restored. So what she did was she showed us a way whereby even if we had like we had used crayons with the children, some of the crayons were broken. Instead of throwing them out, and this was just a natural thing, but I took it in a different perspective. Instead of us just throwing the crayons out and felt like okay, they're short, they're too little, they're not useful for anything, we could actually melt them and remold them to create new crayons. And that was so interesting to me because for the longest time, I just thought, okay, if a crayon is really little and you can't really use it anymore, you throw it out, you buy a new set of crayons. But that day, I got a new perspective, which was that even though those crayons looked like they were useless, they were not needed anymore, they were, they didn't look like they were useful to anybody. But guess what? They were still crayons. They could still be restored. They could still be remodeled. If somebody all you just need to do was melt them, the crayon molds, you put them in the mold while they're hot and they get reshaped and they're like brand new crayons. And why am I using this analogy today? Because the same way those crayons are, I find that is how a lot of human beings are. Like you and I know, they are, in life we would often go through so many challenges. You would go through one thing or the other, and sometimes life often throws curves at you, and life makes you feel like, you know what, you've gone through this, you've gone through that, you're not useful anymore. You've gone through that, oh, you're not qualified for that anymore. Or you've gone through, whatever somebody might say, well, you've gone through abuse, which means they don't need people like you anymore. Oh, this person has gone through a divorce, let's stigmatize them because in this clique, we don't need people like that. Who determines the value? And really, that's a question I want to ask us. Who determines the value of the crayon? I believe the person that has the crayon in his hand determines the value of the crayon. Because if you can determine whether the crayon is going to be useless and throw it out, or you could determine, oh no, this crayon can be restored and you can keep it and remodel it. And you can, remold it. And then guess what? It can become a brand new crayon. And then sometimes it even looks like nobody would even know once it's even, put in that hot box, that once you've molded again and it becomes like that brand new crayon, nobody really would know where it came from. And I find that's exactly how we are in the hands of God, because no matter what we have gone through in life, if we would let God do what he wants to do with our lives, guess what? Those situations don't matter. Are you someone that is saying, oh, I've gone through, life has thrown so many curves at me. Life has thrown so many challenges at me. Life has put me through the worst of times. It's just been hard. I've gone through, but now, I've even though I'm a Christian, I'm in God, but I just don't really believe I can go beyond a certain point. I want to encourage you today to throw the analogy out. And instead, I'm wearing this t-shirt today. It's one of the t-shirts in my collections, Abba's Masterpiece, as a reminder to somebody listening to this, as a reminder to somebody watching this, that guess what? Just like the word of God says in Ephesians 2:10, it says, you and I are God's handiwork. You and I are God's masterpiece. It means you are custom made. It means you are custom shaped. It means you are unique. And guess what I have found out? Even though we might have gone through stuff in life, we might have gone through challenges, we might have gone through ups and downs, and we feel like we could never, ever amount to any good because of the things that we've gone through. I am here to remind you that a masterpiece is always a masterpiece. Did somebody hear me? Yes, I'm going to repeat that. A masterpiece is always a masterpiece, which means if you are God's masterpiece, you will never stop being God's masterpiece, which means if you are a unique work of art, no matter how messed up that unique work of art is, the one that created the art can reshape that that piece, can say, you know what, I'm the one painting on the canvas. I will determine what the picture would look like. And nobody else determines that value. And it's interesting that when you take that masterpiece to an auction table with another masterpiece, guess what happens? That masterpiece would command the highest value from the person that really values that masterpiece. It's interesting when you see it, and you know what, you can think of this when you go to, if you're someone that goes to auctions for antiques, if you ever buy an antique, you will see that piece of art or that piece, or maybe it's a classic car. They're old, but guess what? You will see people bidding for them like they are the best thing in town. They are the most recent. They are the most modern. No, their value is determined by the eyes that see the I just see that they see the value and they're like, I need this. And so somebody might be saying today, I've lost all hope. I don't think I can mount to anything. I don't think I can, stand up again. I don't think I can move forward again. I want to encourage you. And this is the Unstoppable Woman series. I want to encourage you and say you have a choice of being unstoppable because broken crayons can still color. You alone will determine if you would submit yourself to, be a broken crayon that can still color. It's up to you because God is always on hand to restore us. No matter what issue you've gone through in life, no matter what issue I've gone through, I've shared my story and I told that I'm excited. I'm writing it. It's finally coming out in a book. It's been 5 years this year, and it's been on my heart. But I'm so excited that finally I'm able to articulate it and bring it out in a book. But why am I sharing this? The biggest thing is that, at the time when I was going through that time of going through a suicide attempt, it was because I didn't remember my value. When I look back and I'm like, how did I get to that point of even thinking I needed to take my life? How did I listen to the lies of the enemy? Why did I listen to the lies of the enemy? And so that's why we must be careful what we listen to. We must be careful, even when you're going through, what the people that you surround yourself with, what the people that are around you, because they will determine the things that you will do. They will often determine things that you will say. And so if you have God as your number one in your number, he's the number one in your space. He would speak into your ears and say, you are my beloved. I love you so much. You are my masterpiece. You are my work of art. No matter how mad a piece of clay is, the potter can always reshape the piece of clay. The potter can always remodel. The potter can always say, you know what, I can make it into what I want it to be. And that's exactly what God does with our lives. And so I want to remind you as you listen to this, you must choose to be unstoppable. Why? Because you can still be restored. If you have not been restored, it's time to submit yourself to God and say, God, you do what you alone can do with my life. I have gone through these challenges. Sometimes I feel like I'm still overwhelmed. Sometimes I feel like I can't get over it. But I want to submit to you. I know whenever I think it was last night or 2 nights ago, my husband and I were talking about Sarah Jakes, and I'm actually going to get her book. So my husband and I were talking about Sarah Jakes. This is a book that she wrote a long time ago. It's called Lost and Found. But I have this book sitting on my bookshelf somewhere where I can see it every day because her story often encourages me. In this story, it's, if you haven't read it, it's really interesting. I think it's one of her first books. It's called Lost and Found. She shares the story of how, as a child, the things that they went through, people just knowing her as TD Jake's daughter, not really having an identity. I know there were so many things that went on in her life. We look at her life today and we see the awesome things that God is doing. Well, guess what? There was a process to get there. And she had to submit herself to God remolding and molding her. And the same way, if those broken crayons want to still color, they're going to have to submit to the person with the crayons who is going to melt them, and they're not going to say, oh, I don't want to go through this. Oh, why are you melting me? And as they get melted, then they're put into the mold, and then they come out better because now they come out in a brand new shape, but then they're even better than they were before. What is that thing that you have gone through in life that you can submit to God? I know sometimes we let things stop us. So I'm going to share a few of those things that will let stop us. I think one of the things that I find is that sometimes we've made mistakes, and I've used Sarah Jakes. That's an example. When I look back at my life, I share in the book I'm writing, I share how there are some mistakes that I've made in life that I wish I did not make. I look back and I wish I could turn back the hand of time. I really do wish I could, but I can't. And so, what can I do with this mistake? All I can do is I can learn from it, but I must be intentional about forgiving myself that I made that mistake. It's okay to make a mistake, and but I almost would say it's okay to make a mistake, but guess what? You must learn to forgive yourself of that mistake. Because sometimes people go through mistakes and they live with that mistake for the rest of their lives, but they never forgive themselves. Sometimes people have even forgiven you for the thing that maybe you did something that was so bad. God has forgiven you, the people are forgiven. But my question to you is, have you forgiven yourself? Because if you don't forgive yourself, guess what's going to happen? It's going to keep haunting you. And I find sometimes we can't get, we find it hard to be unstoppable because we let those mistakes stop us. And as I want to encourage somebody here, no matter what mistake you might have made in life, no matter how bad you think it is, if you will just surrender it to God and say, God, I made this mistake. I have gone through this in life. I don't even know how I got here, but this is what I did. Lord, forgive me. And then you go to whoever, maybe there are people that you need to speak to forgive you, and they forgive you as well. You must then be intentional about forgiving yourself so that you can move forward. You know, one of those mistakes that I mentioned, like I said, I mentioned it in the book. I look back and I'm like, how was I in that state of mind that I made this mistake? But it's what has happened. There's nothing I can do about it, but I can do better. I can trim, I can make better choices. I can, I can use that mistake as a leverage to do better, to choose better. And I can just trust God to help me along the way. Another thing that people let stop them is failure. So are you one of those people that you say because you failed at one thing before? Like, remember, and I don't forget the title of this podcast, Broken Crayons Still Color. Maybe you've let failure stop you. You failed at that business, so what? You're not going to be the first, you won't be the last. You failed at that project, so what? It doesn't make you a failure. It's simply what you did that failed. It does not make you a failure. The only thing is, if you refuse to get up and keep going, that is when you might stay a failure. But if you will say, you know what, God, I failed at this, it's okay. I'm going to get up and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to choose to be unstoppable. I'm not going to stay down there. I'm not going to stay at this point. I'm going to try again. I often say, Thomas Edison, thank God he kept trying. Maybe we won't even have lights today as I'm talking. We won't have electricity, but he kept trying. He kept trying to invent the light bulb. He kept trying. He kept trying. He kept trying. He kept trying. I think it's about 10,000 times. He kept trying till he got it to work. And he didn't see it as a failure. He saw it as 999 times or 9,999 times that it didn't work. So what is that thing that is stopping you because you failed at it? Oh, you've said, oh, I'm going to open up that business. Oh, I failed at it once. I failed at it twice. I failed at it 3 times. Go again. Try again. Ask God. Go back to your closet. You know what? Ask God, Lord, show me the strategy. What am I missing? What do I need to get right? What maybe you missed one step along the way. And as you try again, guess what's going to happen? You would find out that maybe God will just say, tweak it this way, tweak it that way. And all of a sudden, what didn't work before works again. So with God, you can do more. When you trust God, you can go at it again and you can do better. You can go at it again and you can do it in a better way, but refuse to give up. If I tell you, in writing this particular book, I don't think I've ever had as much opposition in writing a book in my whole life like I did in writing this one. Is it the mental block I want to talk about? Is it just not even knowing how to articulate this particular book? And I know it's because somebody is going to be blessed by it. Somebody's life is going to be transformed. That is why the enemy tried to stop me from writing it. But I was like, no. I kept saying no. I would write, I would put it down, I would write, I would put it down. I would stop because I didn't know what else to write. I would write, I would delete it, start typing again. But guess what? The book is coming out. I'm so excited. Was it easy? No. But guess what? I said, God, help me. Help me. This book is set to write and I'm going to write it. So no matter what it is, don't let anything stop you. Don't let any excuse be good enough to stop you. So, another thing that can stop us. So I mentioned the mistakes. I mentioned failure. Another that can stop us is your past. Our past often comes calling and tries to stop us. So what are those things in the past that we have gone through, and every time it seems you are on the verge of moving forward, that past comes calling back. That past comes calling back. And you're like, oh no, I thought I had gone past this. Oh, I thought I had gone better. I thought I had done. You have to say, God, you have to help me. Lord, I don't want, this is not going to stop me. No, 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 no. You have to determine, that you're not going to allow it to stop you. Take it to God in prayer. Ask Him to help you. Put whatever you need to put around you, but renew your mind. That's another thing. Renew your mind so that your past does not come calling back to taunt you, because the past will always come and taunt you. He always tries to taunt us so that we go back to what we're familiar with. And that's why the past keeps coming. So whenever your past keeps coming, just say, no, 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 I'm not going back to the familiar. God has moved me forward. I'm going to move forward. And look at the things that you're doing. Look at your association. Look at, the things that you do. Have you picked up new habits that can help you to move forward? Because I find often habits are also a big thing. If you're still keeping up with the old habits, it's easy to go back to your past. But check your habits, check your association, check everything around you, and then ask God, help me. I don't want to go back to my past. I need your strength. I need your help. I need your grace. Yes, I need your grace. So excited. So those are three main things I want to share with us. And the fourth one, I'll leave one more with you. You have to read the rest in the book. I'll leave one more with you. And that other one is that another thing is that people often will label you based on the perspective of who they think you are, or maybe what you've done in the past, maybe what you've been or where you've been. They would label you. But I want to remind somebody listening to this, I want to remind somebody watching this, you're not the label of others. Nobody has the authority to label you. Remember I said I'm wearing this t-shirt because of you, to remind you that you are Abba's masterpiece. Whenever you forget, I want to remind somebody, whenever you forget who you are, you take a look in the mirror. You go into Ephesians 2:10 and tell yourself, I am Abba's masterpiece. I am forgiven. I am free. I am whole. I am a new creature. Nothing of the past has a hold on me. God has renewed me. God has restored me. I am clean. Guess what? I am His masterpiece. I am His work of art. I am the one that He set free. Guess what? That means that I am unstoppable. I can do everything He has called me to do. I can fulfill my life assignment. I would fulfill my purpose. I would do everything God has called me to do. I want to remind somebody, because I know that is one thing. And that's why I said, in writing this particular book, I've had so many challenges. Like, seriously, like if I start telling you right now, it's just been there. But I said, no, I'm not going to give up. I've never had this many challenges, but I'm not going to give up. This book, you're coming out. I'm finishing you. People are going to read it because I know it's going to bless lives. So if you're here listening to me, watching me, I want to just remind you once again, don't let anything stop you. You know, one thing I always tell people, we're only here for such a time as this. Like it says in the book of Esther, there is so much that God has called you and I to do. There is so much that He's calling us to do. How can we just sit down and not do anything? We can't. We can't. We have to represent our God. Everywhere God has put you, He's put you there for a reason. He's put you there so you can fulfill His purpose. He's put you there so that you can shine the light in that place. He's put you there so that you can represent Him. He's put you there so that you can bring greatness into that place. The greatness He has put on the inside of you. He's put there so you can change the atmosphere in that place into the atmosphere of the kingdom of God. So never forget that you're here for such a time as this. You're here representing Abba. You are Abba's masterpiece. And guess what? You are unstoppable. So excited. I'll be back next week with more on this. Until then, I'll see you. Have an awesome, awesome week ahead.